Everyone, my name is Tiffany and I'll be talking to you about plastic and human health. Plastic is used worldwide from machinery to packaging food products. It is found in our daily lives. Because it is so common in our everyday lives, there is a misconception that it cannot possibly do much harm. There are hidden threats that seem to be overlooked when dealing with plastic. Not only does plastic have toxic chemicals that are harmful to the environment, such as the ocean, but it can cause harm to the human body, especially pregnant women and children. These effects may happen after a long term of exposure, which is probably one of the main reasons why humans aren't as worried as they need to be. And now a little bit of background information. Plastics are divided into two main categories: thermosets and thermoplastics. Thermosets are polymers that solidify when in contact with heat. Examples include machinery and cars. Thermoplastic softens when heated and returns to original state when at room temperature, such as containers and credit cards. If you take a look at this image, you can see that thermoset polymers have a cross-link while thermoplastics are held together by weaker bonds. So you ask, well, how is it so harmful? Why is it so harmful to the human body? Plastic contains chemicals that are toxic, endocrine disrupting, and cancer causing. The names are listed here. The most known one would be BPA. It can be found in cans, glass jars, lids, pretty much everyday food items that you find in your kitchen. Exposure routes. There are many different exposure routes, but the main ones would be through eating, like eating from those food containers or cans, breathing, and contact. And if you take a look here, this image, from ocean to human body. When we don't recycle plastic, it of course ends up in the ocean, and the toxic chemicals in the ocean can affect the fish. And of course, as humans, we eat seafood, and that's how it can affect us from the ocean to the human body. It really demonstrates how toxic chemicals from plastic affect the marine life and human life. Another exposure that I want to talk about is plastic from factories that can affect residents living near and just people breathing the air. Now, with symptoms, they include neurological damage, birth defects, hormones, thyroid problems, diabetes, obesity, and cancer. They are very harmful to fetuses and infants due to their ability to influence development and carcinogens. Infants are a very vulnerable population when it comes to plastic. Even the plastic wall material in homes affect a child's respiratory system, such as wheezing, cough, and asthma. They can even cause pneumonia in children. There was actually a cross study that showed that was conducted from 50 households at 5 different plastic recycling facilities, and a lot of them reported respiratory symptoms such as nasal congestion, eczema, and sore throat from residents who lived 2,800 meters away. And this study was by Yang in 2011. There are new alternatives to plastic, such as polysaccharide-based bioplastics that uses raw materials such as designer starch that can help immediately the immediate environmental issues and is more healthier to humans. Individual changes include avoid using plastic items and recycling. Another solution is educating businesses that are using plastic for their products. And lastly, policy change on the use of plastic is a major solution to protecting the health and human beings from these toxic chemicals. Now, if you take a look at this chart, it shows what kind of plastics are good, just okay, and bad. Let's take a look at the bad ones. Most cling wrapped meats, cheeses, and other foods sold in delicatessens and groceries. Foam insulation and also for hard application, baby bottles, microwave, ovenware, eating utensils, etc. Storage is also very important because high temperatures from and exposure to UV rays can cause chemicals to latch onto food more. According to Dorisoy and Karababa in 2011, the things that people do at home, such as heating up the baby bottles and cleaning them with certain detergents, cause chemicals to become in direct contact with humans. So what are the current news? I thought this was pretty interesting. From CNN, plastic burning in Tuvalu. In Tuvalu, they do not have an infrastructure that helps them dispose plastic, so the people that live there started to burn the plastic to get rid of it. And this exposed them to the gases and toxic chemicals such as dioxins and furans that cause cancer. This was a major contributing factor to the cancer and deaths in Tuvalu. And a recent film called A Plastic Ocean by NGO Plastic Oceans, they estimated that about 8 million tons of plastic is thrown into the ocean every year. In 2014, about 311 million tons of plastic produced and doubled in 20 years. At this rate, in 2050, they predict that there will be more plastic than fish in the sea, which I thought was pretty interesting. So overall, plastic seems to be found in almost everything, but the health effects and environmental harm from the chemicals that cause it is not really worth it. There are currently new alternatives, such as the polysaccharide-based bioplastics that uses raw materials such as designer starch. Recycling rates are very low, especially in the United States, which 9% of plastic was recycled according to EPA. All plastic made materials such as containers should only be considered when necessary. And lastly, plastic companies have glamorized and advertised plastic to convince consumers into purchasing these things, such as cool water bottles or containers, and there are just many different alternatives to provide a more healthy living situation. It's difficult for people to move away from the norm, but once people see the harm that it causes, then we should really think about starting to be eco-friendly and make smart decisions. Here are my references if you guys do want to take a look at where I got all of this information from. And that would be the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening and have a good day.